Storytime with Stone. My Aunt, the Witch, Part 1. About 3 summers ago, my husband and I got an invite from his Aunt Vicky to spend a week at her house in Florida. She lived a few miles from a beach in a tourist town, so we decided it'd be nice to go. My husband had always told me his aunt was a little weird, but she was his favourite aunt, and I'd only met her one time, and that was at our wedding, but she seemed pretty cool enough. We left our house on a Friday afternoon and found her place at around 11 that night. She was waiting up for us and laid out meat and cheeses so that we could make a little fucking sandwich. While we ate, we sat around talking, and Vicky and my husband Tim reminisced. Vicky was only a few years older than Tim, but she remembered quite a bit from their childhood. As they talked, I half listened to the conversation and occupied myself with knickknacks and pictures in her living room. There were pictures of her son Gary, family portrait of all of my husband's family, and even some of her husband who had been killed in a car accident. I came to a shelf in the corner of the room that held trophies. More dust was collecting crap. Towards the back of the shelf, there was a large gargoyle statue. It was creepy as fuck, with its beady eyes and mouth twisted into a sickening smile. I wondered why she would have such a disgusting thing. Who am I to judge, I thought. Finally, it was time for bed. It was decided that Tim and I'd sleep on the couch since it was a sectional and had plenty of room. And of course Vicky would sleep in her room. Her room was right off the living room where we'd be sleeping, and if the door was open you could see right inside. As we got ready for bed, I couldn't help but have an uneasy feeling. I just attributed it to being new in a house with someone I barely knew. Anyway, I laid down and turned off the lamp next to me and closed my eyes. I finally fell into a fitful sleep and kept waking up all night. Around 10 the next morning, we all got up and headed to the beach. We spent a relaxing day in the sand and water, and due to my half-assed sleeping the night before, I ended up falling asleep in my fucking beach towel. When I woke up, I was thankful that I'd left my shirt on over my bathing suit because my legs were bright fucking red. Being from Florida originally, I knew it was better to have sunburned legs than a sunburnt back and shoulders. Anyway, that evening, we had a quiet dinner and talked some more. I was really starting to like Vicky. She didn't seem weird to me at all, but people might consider me weird, so once again, who am I to judge? The sun had taken a lot out of all of us, so we turned in for sleep pretty early. Tim and I on the couch and Vicky in her room. Tim and I talked about the day for a few minutes, and then, when we couldn't hold our eyes open anymore, fell asleep. We'd fallen asleep with the TV on, so when I woke up a few hours later in complete darkness, I freaked out a little bit and I tried to get my bearings. I remembered where I was, and I reached over the couch and put my hand on Tim's shoulder. It was comforting knowing he was there. My eyes scanned the room and I noticed a green light coming from the shelf in the corner with that gargoyle. What the hell is that, I wondered. I watched for it for a few more seconds. You know, like you do, trying to make sure you're seeing what you're seeing. Anyway, I decided that it must be some battery-powered thing and started to roll over on my side facing the back of the couch. I sat up to fix my pillow and I could see into the kitchen from where I was. The light above the stove was on and the refrigerator door was standing open. Strange, but this was an old house with old appliances, so maybe it just doesn't stick quite like it should. I got up and I closed the door to the refrigerator and lay back down. I was just getting comfortable again when I noticed someone standing behind the section of the couch my husband was sleeping on. I stared for a moment and realised that it was Vicky. What was she doing? Watching him sleep. I quickly woke Tim and pointed to his aunt. He just told me that she sometimes does this and not to worry about it. He got up and led her back to her bedroom, came back a minute later and lay back down. What the hell was that about? I asked in a loud whisper. She just does that sometimes. It's nothing to worry about, he assured me. Does she sleepwalk? No, it isn't sleepwalking. It's fine. Don't stop worrying about it. Just go to sleep. Go to sleep. I, however, was sufficiently freaked out and knew I was going to have a hard time sleeping. I kept noticing the green lights were gone now and decided it must be kind of something on a timer or something. I was just talking myself into going back to sleep when I saw her again. This time she was standing at her bedroom door facing the living room and looking right at the couch where we slept. I stopped breathing. I was still as possible. She walked slowly out of the room and made her way to the shelf where the gargoyle was. She picked it up and started petting it. Yeah, you heard me right. Petting it. Like it was a kitten. She talked softly to it. I couldn't make out what she was saying. I wanted to wake Tim up again, but I was afraid to move. I watched her put the gargoyle back on the shelf and once again look in our direction. She started to walk towards the couch and then seemed to change her mind. She switched directions and made her way to the kitchen. I couldn't see over the back of the couch, so I wasn't exactly sure where she was at this point. And I didn't know if she could see me if I moved. I turned my head slowly to try and wake up Tim, but that was when I saw her at her bedroom door again. The end.